Good afternoon to Miss and my fellow friends. My name is Nikki and today I'm gonna share about the novel Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. So starting with, I'm gonna introduce the author, which is Thomas Mann. So Thomas Mann is born in 1875 and he died in 1955, and he is a well-famous German novelist and essayist. So this is basically his achievement and his life history back in the time during his life. So in his age of 16, after the death of his father, he moved to Munich with his mom. And in 1901, he published his first book, Burden Brooks. And in 1905, he got married with Katie Prince and they have 6 children. And in 1912, he published the novella Death in Venice, which I'm going to share about later. And in 1929, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, which shows the values of valuability of his books and writings. And in 1933, he left Germany with his family because of navies came in power in Germany and they lived in the US. And in 1955, he died and was known as one of the premier writers in the 20th century. And before I start sharing about Death in Venice, so basically Death in Venice is the true life experience of Thomas Mann, which is that he wrote it into this book. And it writes about what he think of his creativity about it, and it's actually his true life experience. So actually the plot analysis starts with the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and lastly the resolution. So exposition. So one Eisenberg was walking alone in Munich and he saw a red-haired foreign looking man in the cemetery, and this red-headed foreign looking man gave him the impulse to have a vacation to a exotic place. The reason why, because he had a disciplined life and he's dedicated to his writing schedule, and he thinks that he wants the time to have a break from this overwhelmed and busy schedule. So he decided to have a vacation to European states. So the rising action is that Eisenberg, at the beginning he went to Poland, but he found out that Poland is not as exotic and restful as he thinks. So he decided to go to Venice. And during the journey to Venice, he met a red-headed old man, which put makeup and disguise his age, and he feels disgusted by him. But the red-headed man actually symbolized what Eisenberg has become in the end of the novella. And when he arrived at Venice, he stayed in a hotel and he sees a beautiful boy, which is Tazio. And Tazio is a Polish boy, which is young and from a wealthy family. And he thinks that Tazio is a good godlike beauty, and he idolizes him and admiring him so much because he looks so young and youthful. And one time of the close contact with Tazio in the hotel, he found out that he looks so sick and he assumes that he will die at a young and youthful age. So, but because of the bad condition in Venice, which is not good for his health, Eisenberg decided to leave Venice to another place. So he bought a train ticket, but he regretted the next day. And but it turns into another situation when he received he was told that his luggage was addressed to the wrong place and he had to stay put in Venice until he can get back his belongings, which makes that he feels so relieved because he can have more time with Tazio and following him around in Venice. And at that time, he feel weird that because Venice at that time should have a lot of tourists, and he heard the rumors of the cholera epidemic from India has struck Venice, but he didn't really care about it. He ignored it, and he decided not to tell Tazio's family because he wanted more time with Tazio to stalk him. And after ignoring the rumors, he started to stalk Tazio around in Venice. So at one night, a group of performers came to the hotel to perform and sing and dance. And during the break, Ascender asked of the reason why of less tourists in Venice, and the performance says that it's just a precaution for them because of the bad condition in Venice. And Ascender believes that. And at the night, at the second day, the agency in Venice told him that actually it's they hide the news of the epidemic happening, which means that they don't want to cause any crisis and fear in their citizens. And he advised Eisenberg to leave Venice as soon as possible because it is dangerous for him to stay there because of the cholera. And this is where he started stalking Tachio's openly because of the rumors, and he didn't want to lose sense lose lose his sight even a little. So the climax is that after knowing the news from the agency, Eisenberg has nightmares about joining the vouchers, which means that he finds that he gets so more obsessed to Tatsuo, which means that he loses his rationality. He's thinking of Tatsuo every time and every moment. And when he starts stalking him around, there's one time he lost sight from Tatsuo, he becomes so depressed and so sad. And the following action to that is that Eisenberg, because of his old appearance, he feels that he wants to be more attractive to Tatsuo to attract his attraction. So he changed his appearance by dyeing his hair and changed his clothes and put up makeup just to hide his real age and to make him look more younger and attractive to Tatsuo. So as the last scene in the novella is that when Eisenberg is stalking Tatsuo is playing with his friend on the beach, and when they have a little fight, Tatsuo is walking alone on the beach, and he beckons. Eisenberg says that Tatsuo is waving at him at the sea and wanted him to follow Tatsuo to the sea. So this causes his death actually because it's not really because of following him to the sea. And the resolution is that he dies in his room. Why? Because actually he get infected by the cholera. And before he died, he was on the beach on his chair. Actually, he was found sick at his chair and he was bring back to the hotel and he died after the same day. So this is basically the plot analysis of Death in Venice, which starting he has the impulse from a red-headed foreign man to start vacation, and he end up in Venice because of the beautiful boy Tatsuo, and he get his obsession to Tatsuo, and he started change his appearance by putting on makeup, dyeing his hair to make him look so young, as lastly caused it to his death. So this is the big pictures that shows that he what happened doing in the beach and his death. And next I'm going to share the characters, which is our main characters, Gustav von Eschenbeck. So he is a German author, same as Thomas Mann, which I had saying that actually Eschenbeck is Thomas Mann. So Thomas Eschenbeck is a disciplined person which is dedicated to his writings, which means that he spent his whole life writing. And the red-haired man awakens his inner desire, which is his sensuality, to enjoy life, enjoyment, find satisfactions, because his whole life is disciplined. And he sees Tatsuo as a beautiful art, so that's why he gets obsessed with him, and he uses Tatsuo as an inspiration of him to write an essay. And he represses his sensuality because of work ethics. He thinks that he should write a writing which is suitable for that society, which means that it shows the relationship and it reflects in that current society. And lastly, he dies in Venice in the end as a different self, because in the beginning he is a disciplined person, and lastly he ends up as a irrational person, which means that he let his own obsession overwhelm him and let himself lose control, big control that he's talking Tatsuo around. And the next character is Tatsuo, which is a police boy, a young police boy which is 14 years old, came from a wealthful family. So he's a beautiful boy which attracts Eisenberg, and he has the look of youthful and a godlike look, which make Eisenberg so obsessed to him, and he is seen as the psychagogue by Eisenberg. So another character is red-headed man, which means a foreign-looking man which unconsciously awakened the desire of Eisenberg to travel to the exotic place. Actually, he is the symbolization of the inner self of Eisenberg, which means that he wanted to travel, he wanted to relax, and want to release himself from this disciplined life schedule anymore. So the old man is the man that he met in the way to Venice, which wear makeup to hide his own age and change his appearance so that he looked younger. And this is the symbolization of Eisenberg in the future when after he met Tatsuo. So in this novella I found out two themes which I think is more more obvious and more attractive to me, which is the first one, idolizing beauty. So Eisenberg idolized Tasio as he is the ideal of the beauty. So he thinks that Tasio is so perfect and he has the godlike, which he compares him with the gods, which means that he thinks that Tasio is the perfect person, which so beauty is same as the god. So but he only watches Tasio from that far distance because he doesn't want to know his unperfectness. Like there's one time that he seen Tasio in a close contact, in a close distance. He found out that he has a not perfect teeth, which means that he doesn't want to looking as near to broke his good spirit, good look, his thought of ideal of beauty in him, and then he uses his sensual desire to create his own work, like essays or books. Like he uses his satisfaction in books so that he can hide it from he can't use it in his life. So next one is surrender to passion and death. So a simple process of regression leads to his death, which means that from his disciplined life to his irrational and losing control of himself. So there's three elements which involve in his development. Which one? The first one is his long repressed sensuality, which means that his long repressed sensuality to his reality makes him lose control of himself. He let his obsession controls him, which means that he only focuses on Tatsuo because he wanted to admire and wanted to idolize Tatsuo as a perfect godlike. And secondly is his fame. He questions on sympathetic morality, which means that actually he likes to write books about gods and morality, which means that his fame makes him leads him to his to his passions. Like he rather look to his passions than to his own self. And lastly is his obsession to touch you. So because of his obsession, he ignored the epidemic which happened in Venice, and he ignored the how does the situation in Venice will affect his health, and lastly lead to his death. So this is what means by surrender to passion and death. So we can know that how accepted that his own fame, his own sensuality, his own obsession caused to his death. And values. So the first value is related to the theme, which is surrender to passion and death. So I think that we must appreciate a life, because Eisenberg shows a bad example of not appreciating his life because he has been too obsessed to touch you, which means that he ignores the cholera epidemic and the condition in Venice which affects his health. And lastly, he get infected by the cholera happening, and he lastly died in the end of the novella. So I think we should appreciate life because life is precious, and we should live a bad, meaningful life by not wasting time on following someone around that we don't really know, and do something meaningful which can help others or to find another meaning in life. So it's like next one we should be rational. So I sometimes sees Tatsuo as a beautiful boy and he idolizes him and he be so obsessed on him. Well, in my opinion, idolizing a person is not bad, but we have to be in a rational way because he in the novella, Eisenberg stalks Tatsuo around, and he also changes his appearance just to draw his attention, which means that he already lost his rationality. He didn't think straight about it. Like he let his obsession um take take charge in himself, which means that he make his idolization become a bad influence and bad implication to him, which caused to his death in the end because he doesn't want to leave Tashio, even he knows that the coroner may cause his death. So before, in my conclusion, actually, in my opinion, Death in Venice is actually an interesting book, and it's a real life experience by the author, which is Thomas Mann. And I think that we should have an open mind when we try to read this book because it may not be acceptable by some person. But in the current society, I think that this kind of experience may be acceptable because it's been a it's been like a normal situation now, like older person likes fall in love in a younger person. It doesn't really makes that, it's about a bad thinking of homosexual And I think that actually we should like it is good to have other idol, and we can change them to motivation. And I think that Eisenberg is a good example in this modern society for us to learn that actually we should not be so irrational when we try to uh follow our idols, or chasing a star, because chasing a star without a rational way makes us lose ourselves, that we can get so crazy and obsessed of it, and we may also do like stupid things like uh spending all our money on buying their seat their posters, their tickets, or their stuffs that were stuff like that. So I think that actually Thomas Mann's book novella Death in Venice is really a good novella. So I think that everyone should try to read it, and really I really learned a lot from it, because one thing that I learned is that seeking seeking on self inner self is important, but we should be rational of it, because we may lose ourselves and lose control of it. So yeah, I truly wanted you guys to look through Death in Venice, and this is the end of my sharing. Thank you for spending your time.